The National Weather Service in Riverton, Wyoming has issued an earthquake warning for northwestern Fremont County in north-central Wyoming, Hot Springs County in north-central Wyoming, Teton County in northwestern Wyoming, and Park County in northwestern Wyoming. This includes all of Yellowstone National Park and the surrounding areas. As of 5:49 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, the United States Geological Survey has recorded a series of cluster earthquakes registering on the Richter scale from anywhere between a magnitude 2.2 to a magnitude of 4.7. The earthquakes have only gotten stronger, and the United States Geological Survey is predicting a strong to severe earthquake in the Yellowstone region within the next 24 hours. Evacuation is not mandatory, but is highly recommended by civil authorities in the warned areas. If you cannot evacuate, or refuse to do so, be prepared for strong tremors. Get under a table or a sturdy structure and hide where you can avoid objects from falling on your head. Be prepared for multiple earthquakes, which may become progressively stronger than the last one. Please stay tuned to your local news stations for further updates. The National Weather Service in Riverton, Wyoming has issued a civil emergency message for all land within 100 miles of the Yellowstone caldera, including all of Yellowstone National Park and several portions of the states of Wyoming, Idaho and Montana, in effect until further notice. At 7:12 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time, a magnitude 8.1 earthquake struck approximately 12 miles from Yellowstone National Park. This earthquake has caused major damage in the surrounding region. Hundreds of homes and buildings have been destroyed or severely damaged beyond repair. Several casualties have been reported, with the death toll currently at 17. This earthquake has also triggered several of the geysers in the Yellowstone caldera to burst, including Old Faithful and Steamboat Geyser. The geyser eruptions have been reported by civil authorities to be the most powerful that they have ever seen, and that superheated water has flowed into the standing grounds of the park. The superheated water has previously been reported to be radioactive and highly toxic, making it incredibly dangerous to human and animal life. Due to the combination of aftershocks, geyser eruptions, radioactive materials and the threat of a possible Yellowstone supervolcano eruption, the entirety of Yellowstone National Park and Grand Teton National Park will be closed for the first time since 2020 to further protect citizens from imminent danger. Please stay tuned to your local news stations for further updates. The following message is transmitted at the request of the United States government. A civil danger warning remains in effect until further notice for Park County, Wyoming. Over the past several days, various species of animals have been acting strange. These include zoo animals, such as giraffes and elephants, as well as forest and barn animals, running loose in the area and showing up in unexpected locations. Some animals have caused several incidents to occur and various attacks on humans and property. According to one report, a taxi vehicle was attacked by a huge elk after breaking down about 2 miles from Yellowstone National Park. The elk broke several windows with its antlers and ripped off the door handles with its teeth, then pushed the car off the road where it flipped upside down, killing the taxi driver while the 2 passengers escaped. In another instance, An elephant broke into a house and injured 3 of the inhabitants. There have been reports with evidence showing traces of radioactive material in lakes, rivers, and streams. It is likely that either consumption of the contaminated water or the sense of dangerous chemicals in the area is what's causing these animals to act strange. If you live near Yellowstone National Park, you are under a mandatory evacuation order, as the presence of toxic chemicals is severe in the area. Please stay tuned to your local news stations for further updates. The following message has been transmitted at the request of the United States government. This is not a test. I repeat, this is not a test. A mandatory evacuation order has been issued for all residents within 100 miles of the Yellowstone caldera. A voluntary evacuation order is issued for all residents within 500 miles of the Yellowstone caldera. Over the last several hours, the United States Geological Survey has reported severe volcanic activity around the Yellowstone caldera. Magma has been building up in the surface, and it is highly likely that the Yellowstone supervolcano will erupt within the next 12 to 24 hours. An eruption of this magnitude will likely be a VETI 6 to 7 level event, and there is a likelihood that this eruption will render the entire west coast of the United States as uninhabitable for years, even decades. Ashfall will be widespread across much of the United States. If you are receiving this message, it is highly recommended that you evacuate to the east coast of the United States, as minimal to no ashfall will occur. Evacuation is required, not optional. Local authorities and law enforcement officials will be driving around, making sure you leave your home. Tie a white flag to your mailbox to let authorities know you have safely evacuated the area. When you are evacuating, grab everyone in your household and stay together. Grab non-perishable food and water, clothing, a battery-operated radio, a flashlight, a first aid kit, a cell phone, and charging cords. Should you need assistance evacuating, emergency management services and law enforcement officials will escort you to the nearest pickup point. Turn off all heating and air conditioning units. Close and lock all windows and doors. Seal all cracks and gaps in windows and doors with tape and adhesive substances. Shut off all gas. Be sure to take one car per family if possible. If you must take more than one car, try to stay together as much as possible, and try not to get separated. Do not pick up relatives from schools, hospitals, or nursing homes. These facilities have their own evacuation procedures and will act on them accordingly. Do not worry about your pets. Every state on the East Coast will now require pets to be allowed in evacuation shelters due to the nature of this emergency. If you do not evacuate, you are putting your life in extreme danger and you will most likely die. Stay tuned to your local news stations for further updates. This concludes the activation of the emergency alert system. All programming will now resume.
Good morning, America. This is GMA, your #1 morning news broadcast. Our top story today, Yellowstone no-show. I guess not. On Saturday, August 14th, a dire warning message was issued to all residents living within a 100-mile radius of Yellowstone National Park. The message warned that Yellowstone would erupt within the next 12 to 24 hours. It sent thousands of people flocking to the east coast of the United States. Shelters were set up to protect evacuees from using residential homes as shelters in case the inhabitants will need it. Many people even fled to Europe or Africa by boat or airplane. However, 24 hours passed, and nothing happened. The evacuated residents are advised by the local authorities of each shelter to avoid returning to their homes until an all-clear message is given by the United States Geological Survey. Despite this, several hundred people began to return to their homes, causing major traffic jams and build-ups on highways. We do not have an all-clear message from the United States Geological Survey, but we can say that there is no imminent threat as of right now. More on this in the next hour. What's that? Am I getting fired?
We interrupt our regular programming at the request of the White House. This is a national emergency. Important details will follow. This is an emergency action notification. All broadcast and cable systems across the continental United States shall transmit this emergency action notification message. This station has interrupted its regular programming at the request of the White House to participate in this national emergency alert. This is not a test. I repeat, this is not a test. This is a critical national emergency for the entire continental United States. It is important that you listen to the following message. The following message is transmitted at the request of the White House. Stand by. The President of the United States, or a representative of his, will bring you this message.
The following message I am about to televise has been given authorization by myself, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the Federal Communications Commission, the United States Geological Survey, and the United States government, effective as of 2:45 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. This is not a test. I repeat, this is not a test. I deeply regret to inform the citizens of the United States that at approximately 12:38 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time, the Yellowstone supervolcano in Wyoming has catastrophically erupted as a result of a large 8.1 magnitude earthquake that struck Yellowstone National Park. An extremely loud boom has been heard across the entire continent of North America, and early reports are indicating that the sound was heard as far away as Central America. A massive cloud of ash, magma, and poisonous gas has been sent more than 30 kilometers in the atmosphere. This eruption has been confirmed to be a VEI8 eruption, the maximum level on the volcanic explosion index scale. This means that this eruption is powerful enough to generate a global volcanic winter, the last of which occurred in 1991. This means that temperatures worldwide will drop by 1 degree Celsius, or 33 degrees Fahrenheit, which will result in crop failure and global famine. Pyroclastic flows are sweeping through towns and cities as I speak. Everything within 100 to 500 miles of the Yellowstone caldera has been apocalyptically destroyed beyond recognition. These areas within the radius are expected to be covered in 1 to 2 feet of ash. The entire western portion of the United States will be unrecognizable and completely uninhabitable for decades. Salt Lake City, Las Vegas, Phoenix, San Francisco, San Diego, Los Angeles, Portland, Seattle, Tacoma, Olympia, St. Louis, Oklahoma City and Chicago will be among many cities wiped out by ashfall. No buildings will be left standing due to the intensity of the pyroclastic flows. The eastern portion of the United States will suffer major damage but is more likely to be rebuilt quicker. Little to no ashfall will occur in Alaska and Hawaii, but residents of those states should tune into local news stations for emergency updates. Due to the timing of the eruption occurring 3 days later than expected, hundreds of evacuees returned to their homes in spite of orders not to leave. It is with a heavy heart for me to say that anyone who returned to their homes in the Yellowstone radius has died due to complete and total lung failure from exposing themselves to intense amounts of ash. Yellowstone's magma and volcanic ash is incredibly radioactive, meaning that its toxins can permanently damage the breathing atmosphere. Although the United States is expected to see the worst results of this cataclysmic eruption, it will have devastating effects on the entire world. The aforementioned crop failures will severely affect food trades to foreign markets, in turn wrecking their economies and potentially causing a worldwide economic crisis. Ash will pollute the Pacific Ocean, destroying sea animals and raising the temperature of the ocean by about 10 degrees Celsius. There is a likelihood of tsunamis in Alaska and Hawaii, as well as various countries all across the Pacific Ocean due to the impact of the ash hitting the surface of the ocean. This is an extremely dangerous and life-threatening situation for the entire United States and Canada, and this should be taken very seriously. No matter where you live, all Americans are strongly advised to seek underground shelter immediately. You are advised to do the following instructions: find a basement or an interior room in a sturdy building. Make sure the room has as few doors or windows as possible. Close and lock all windows and doors. Seal all cracks and holes with tape and damp towels. Turn off all heating and air conditioning systems. Close all fireplace dampers and vents. Gather essential supplies for your shelter, such as non-perishable food, water, a flashlight, a first aid kit, a fully charged cell phone chargers, toiletries, and a battery-operated or hand-cranked radio with extra batteries to last you during the duration of this emergency. If you have respiratory conditions such as asthma, wear a gas mask to further protect yourself from inhaling ash. Do not go outside during the duration of this emergency. You will endanger yourself and others around you. Although America is in a crisis like we've never seen before, we will not fall as a country to this cataclysmic event. We have to put away our differences, whether they be political, or religious, or economic, and unite together as one nation, under God, indivisible. We will rebuild the destroyed areas and make a full recovery. Always stay positive as we continue to live through these difficult, challenging and incredibly dark days of America. Most importantly, stay calm. And do not panic. Panicking will only make the situation worse than it already is, and you will put yourself and others in danger. Thank you for listening to this message, and God bless America.
The preceding statement was a message from the President of the United States. This concludes this broadcast of the Emergency Alert System. Regular programming, on whatever stations are still available, will now resume.
Civil authorities in Honolulu, Hawaii have upgraded a tsunami watch to a tsunami warning for the entire state of Hawaii, in effect until further notice. At 8:38 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time, the Yellowstone caldera exploded into a violent eruption, sending massive amounts of ash into the air. Cities all along the west coast of the United States have been wiped out already, and the pyroclastic flows have slammed into the Pacific Ocean with force, enough to displace the water and generate a tsunami. Waves of up to 20 feet high are expected along the shores of Hawaii, and all islands are affected by this threat. The intensity of the volcanic ash impacting the ocean has raised sea temperatures up by nearly 50 degrees Fahrenheit, making the waves both unsurfable and highly toxic. Little to no ash fall is expected in the state, but tsunami surges will destroy buildings and bridges all across the state. This is expected to be the worst tsunami in Hawaii since Hilo was hit by one in 1960. Do not wait to leave. Get to higher ground now. Stay tuned to your local news stations for further updates.
The following message is transmitted at the request of the United States government. You are listening to a representative of the President of the United States, giving you this administrative message from the President himself. My fellow Americans, we are in a crisis like never before. 8 months ago, on August 18, 2027, the Yellowstone supervolcano erupted in a cataclysmic volcanic event. The eruption sent volcanic ash over 40 kilometers into the atmosphere. Streams of lava and pyroclastic flows have completely obliterated cities within 1,000 kilometers of the Yellowstone caldera. This eruption was more powerful than anyone expected. Even volcanic experts were caught off guard by the eruption, some of whom have died due to lung failure or from succumbing to the radioactive toxins of the atmosphere. The east coast of the United States saw more ash fall than initially anticipated, up to around 6 inches in some areas, and the death toll on the east coast as of this morning is at 227,000. The death toll from the entire disaster is currently standing at 4 million, the deadliest disaster in the United States, with the final count expected to be in the tens of millions. Millions more are injured, including hundreds of thousands of people who went deaf as a result of the shockwaves sent by the sound of the initial explosion. We have just been given the authorization to access the western United States. It is completely unrecognizable, with no buildings, homes, trees, or anything else left standing. In particular, Denver was found to be completely buried under 10 feet of hardened lava and molten ash. Lava has entered the Gulf of America, the Pacific Ocean, and the Atlantic Ocean, creating extra layers of land upon cooling. The impact of the lava hitting the Pacific Ocean has generated a relatively moderate tsunami in Hawaii, with waves up to 10 feet high causing damage and few casualties. Sulfuric gases released from Yellowstone have sprung into the atmosphere and mixed with the Earth's water vapor. As a result, a global volcanic winter has begun. The sun has been nearly completely blocked out due to a huge cloud of ash, which created pitch-black darkness in the eastern United States for an estimated 30 days. Crops have failed all across the entire Western Hemisphere. The North American continent is dealing with the worst of it. Starvation is occurring globally, in a famine worse than any other. Little to no fresh water is available due to the contamination of rivers, streams, and lakes. A small number of hospitals have been built or renovated to admit those suffering from effects of radiation exposure or lung failure, but most people are unable to access them. Law enforcement officials are the only ones allowed to drive on the road until further notice due to piles of ash coating the highways. The United States economy is at an all-time low, making this economic crisis worse than the Great Depression. It could be years, or even decades, before life returns to normal. We need to hold out hope. The actual disaster is over, now we are in the process of recovering. If we put away our differences and stick together as one nation, under God, indivisible, we will rebuild our country. We will reunite as a nation stronger than ever. We cannot let this Yellowstone catastrophe wipe us out altogether. I have faith that God will get us through this dark period of America, and He will bless us with the resources and financial support to help the United States recover. This concludes this broadcast of the Emergency Alert System. Thank you. And God bless America.